Welcome back to the channel, folks. Today we are going to discuss a topic we have not talked about in the almost 5 years I've been doing this here on the channel, and there's a very good reason why we're discussing this very specific topic, and I bet you're wondering why. You're like, just get to it already, Etep. Well, today we're going to talk about Goosebumps, and I will tell you why on the other side.
You will beware. You're in for a scare.
To understand the future, you have to learn the past. So let's talk about the history of Goosebumps a little bit. The Goosebumps series of books was originally published by R.L. Stine in 1992, with the original series spanning 62 titles until 1997. And since then, the number has grown to 235 total books that have been translated into 35 different languages around the globe. The books, of course, begat the television series, which ran for a total of 4 seasons and 74 episodes, each with a 22-minute runtime, and the series featured 4 two-part specials. It aired on Friday nights on the Fox Kids network from 1995 until 1998. It would lay dormant on television until the announcement of a feature-length movie to be released on October 16, 2015, simply and appropriately titled Goosebumps. It starred Jack Black as the titular character R.L. Stine and incorporated many characters from his books, all involved in a wraparound plot revolving around Zach Cooper meeting his neighbor Hannah and discovering her father is none other than Stine himself. The movie made $158,261,424 at the worldwide box office against a reported $58 million budget, performing well enough that a sequel was greenlit. It's of note to mention that this movie was directed by Rob Letterman, who would revive it on Disney Plus for the series we're going to discuss in a few moments, but back to the cinematic releases. As I mentioned in the previous point, Goosebumps was successful enough to spawn a sequel, which was released on October 10, 2018. Sony hoped to recapture the first film's success, but were disappointed by the results. The sequel starred a returning Jack Black inexplicably without his daughter from the first movie in the new town of Wardenclyffe, home of the inventor Nikola Tesla. Rob Letterman would not return to direct this one. Instead, Ari Sandel took the helm, and whilst it was still an enjoyable outing, the lackluster box office returns would quell any hopes fans may have had for a trilogy. Haunted Halloween couldn't scare up enough at the worldwide box office to continue the series, only raking in a frighteningly low total of $93,320,380 worldwide. The property would lie dormant on screen until it was announced that Disney had picked up the show on February 4th, 2022. With shooting to kick off later that year, giving it a 10-episode order and sending it to their Disney Plus and Hulu streaming services. The 2023 iteration of Goosebumps was developed for Disney Plus by the original film director Rob Letterman and Nicholas Stoller, and it would feature a recurring cast and center on Stine's titles such as One Day at Horrorland, Night of the Living Dummy, The Haunted Mask, and Say Cheese and Die, which happened to be the kickoff episode to this new series, loosely based upon the book of the same name, which was originally published in November of 1992 and received a sequel, Say Cheese and Die Again, in 1996. At this point in the video, you're thinking to yourself, Etep, that's a lot of information about a series as a whole. What's your point? Well, dear viewer, the crux of the issue is that it's story time with Etep. I like to be thorough in the delivery of information, so the story goes a little something like this. So just for some background on the Goosebumps and my relation to it, I have read these books since I was about 13 years old. I had 2 younger sisters growing up, and they were avid readers, as was I from the time I was a kid. And these are some of the books that were in our house. You know, growing up, my sister had, some of these, both my younger sisters. I was a reader. I read this one in particular, I Saw You That Night. I remember reading this one and The Cuckoo Clock of Doom. Now, those were two of them that I probably read all four of them, but I just remember those more than others. And they were adapted in the original series, and they're going to be, I know the Cuckoo Clock of Doom, if it wasn't in season 1 of this new adaptation on Disney Plus, it's going to be in season 2. Point being, there are a lot of these books in our house. My son, I read these to my son. My son reads them on his own now. Reading is one thing that we really instill in our child. So to bring me to you're thinking, what the hell are you rambling about here with all these books? Say Cheese and Die. It's the premiere episode of the 2023 version of Goosebumps, right? So this is our premiere episode. Now, I'll be adding in clips and things over top of this to show my point. We're watching this episode. Well, first of all, I didn't watch it with my son first. My son asked my wife because he loved the movies, he loves the books, and he's watched most of the original series we own on DVD. And if you're interested in watching that, every episode is on YouTube. I will link that in the description. I found a channel where they're all uploaded. So all 4 seasons, all 74 episodes are there. He likes it. He's like, this is fun. I want to watch the new show, because he's scrolling through Disney Plus and he saw that on there. He's like, okay, I want to watch this. He asked my wife, hey, will you watch this with me? I want to watch it. I'm afraid it might be a little bit scary. Okay. Now, this is funny coming from my son, who we just laid in bed and watched Jason Lives the other night together, and we're doing kill count. But, he's still 8.5. So he's like, I'm not sure. I might need some, but he doesn't just watch this stuff alone. So he's like, I'll, watch it. All right. So the wife sits down to watch it with him. The episode starts out very promising with the area of it that is set in 1993, which we see I can't remember the character's name, but he dies in a fire in his basement. And it's, very odd circumstances which lead to our story. First of all, they use that Unholy song by Sam Smith in the, I believe it was the opening to it. And the lyrics to that song are just totally inappropriate for a kid's show, and we'll get to why. And being as this episode was titled Say Cheese and Die, they find a Polaroid camera, much like this story. This time we have our main characters, and there's the one kid is, they establish right from the go, he's gay, and they show him talking to his friend who is not gay. He's the quarterback of the football team, and the gay kid says something says sup to his crush, and the other guy says sup, and then he's like, oh, I was hoping I would have something meaningful to tell my therapist.
We were like a solid 5 steps away from something substantial I could tell my therapist about.
This is right at the beginning when we meet all of the characters pertinent to the present day part of the story. And as they're standing there talking, the quarterback kid, his girlfriend comes walking up. You see the locker behind him. My wife didn't even notice this. I look, and here's they're Titans, I believe is their school mascot. And it's Titan Pride. And Pride is, of course, in rainbow. Disney. Disney thought they were sneaky with this, because look, I'm not just splitting hairs here. I'm not just nitpicking. If this was a one-off with Disney, I would just brush it under the rug and not say anything about it, because the rest of the episode, Justin Long plays the English teacher who comes in. He ends up getting possessed by the ghost of Henry Biddle, who died in the fire. That was the character's name. And it plays out like the book, in the respect that bad things happen to the people that these pictures are taken. That you take a picture of them and it shows the scenario in which they'll have a near-death experience, as it were, just like in the book. And the rest of it plays out pretty cool. It's a good episode. It really ended on a cool cliffhanger, and season 1 has an overarching story, which the wife and kid went on to watch episode number 2, and they said that there was nothing like there was in this episode in the second one, which begs the question, why? Why even do it? And I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to review this entire series. I just wanted to point this out because it was so out of place and so ridiculous. It didn't make any sense putting it in the first place. From the song choice of Unholy to including just that little thing in the background that somebody with an eye for this stuff that's been subversively attempted to be placed inside of children's and young adult materials. I mean, like I said, you got a young kid watching this. You don't want to have to explain that to him. I shouldn't have to. I shouldn't have to. And yes, I monitor what my son watches. That's why my wife watched it with him. And that's why if we watch a horror movie, I watch it with him. You know? So, that being said, I just want you guys' thoughts on this. I mean, this is nothing. I'm not speaking out against anything, but I'm just saying the inclusion of this stuff in these young adult and kids shows is out of place, comparatively speaking to the original series, which didn't have any of this. There was none of it. So why do you feel the incessant need to shoehorn it in here? It is pure narcissism on the part of creatives, folks. And that's my 2 cents on the issue. I want you to let me know what you think. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Do all the YouTube things. Subscribe. If you're not yet, folks, you can become a channel member for $2.99, $4.99 a month. A Harvey Wakuian producer and Etep's Kazooian. There you go, folks. If not, just subscribe. It's free. It always will be. Ding the bell. I'm Etep Wakuian from The Place to Be Reviews. I've been here with all of yous. If I don't see you, have a great day, a pleasant tomorrow, and I will catch you on the next one.